I want you guys to see a little bit of what's going on, well, all of what's going on with the sprayer. I've had some minor leaking issues, not huge, but enough that it's gotten my attention. This one, first and foremost, this is a very subtle leak. I mean, it wasn't a steady stream. It was hardly even a drip, but it was enough that I could tell that it was losing product. And what I found when I took that clamp off is a bunch of essentially sand, grit, dirt, a couple bugs that had actually worked down into this clamp and was actually around the O-ring. Because I took this off, I loosened it, I didn't take it off, which in hindsight was a poor decision because I should have taken it off. And I would have discovered that the face where both of these pieces meet were dirty. So that is, I'm fairly confident, where that issue will be fixed. So I just got to clean that up. I have a new clamp. I have two actually. I have a new clamp for here because this one is shot. The reason it's shot is because I couldn't tighten it anymore. And if you look at it, it's tweaked right to there. I couldn't get it on anymore, even using the electric drill. So junk. I can still use the O-ring, there's nothing wrong with that. With the two new clamps, the other clamp needs to go on this side. If you guys are ever wondering what the inside of these look like, there you go. My pressure gauge, I almost said fuel gauge. My pressure gauge was working fine the other day we were running it. Not so much anymore. It's shot, it's junk, and I don't need it. I'm not using the sprayer enough to feel that, to the point where I feel like I need to worry about what the pressure is doing, because honestly with the ag leader monitor in the tractor, it takes care of all that. The only thing the pressure really did is to tell me that that the hydraulic pump that was running the sprayer pump was running. But I have the hoses, simple fix, kind of what my grandpa taught me growing up. I just put cable ties on them, you know, 1 and 2. So this one goes in the left SCV, this one goes in the right, so just like that, except in the tractor, of course. Grandpa, what he used to do to mark these, and that's what I mean by Grandpa used to do. Grandpa used to mark them so you knew which one went into which, and he always sprayed one hose, the hose that went on the right side. So here's your SCV. So in my hose design, 1 clamp and 1 cable tie or 2 cable ties, 1, 2 right into the SCV. Grandpa's logic was spray the one that goes to the right, John Deere green. So that way, whenever you had a piece of equipment with a green hose on it, that hose automatically just went into the right SCV. That's how he did it. This is cleaner. I prefer that. Plus the fact that if for some reason you need to turn the hoses around, you're not committed to a green hose that then you have to remember on that implement you have to spin around. So it's no big issue. As far as the pressure gauge, even at the local supply store, that is an end that's actually meant to have the pressure gauge built right into it. I'm completely eliminating it, and that's all I did. The reason I took the other side off right away, I did this side first, is I need to decide what I'm going to put on the end. So new cap, which you guys see that new cap, we'll plug that off, so that'll eliminate that leak. Because what happened is the gauge failed about halfway through that day that I ran it, and it was shooting out a high pressure stream of fertilizer out the top of the gauge, and it was actually clearing the fertilizer tank, or the product tank, however you guys want to say it, depending on where you are in the world. Everybody says everything differently, I've come to find when I started doing YouTube videos. So what I'm going to do here, this is all fine, and that is definitely my problem there. That's the irritating thing. It's a downside. It is slightly irritating. When you have 3-point implements like this, to move them around the machine shed, I don't like using the Bobcat to do it. The JCB either, because we cracked the pump housing itself. It's not hurting it at all, whatever else, but we damaged it, or somebody damaged it, by moving this with the pallet tines. And I'm not saying that we even did it. It is very possible that I didn't see it until after we unloaded it from the truck the first time, but I do know that they were moving it with a forklift up at the place that we bought it from. I'm not blaming anybody for it. I'm aware of it, that it's cracked, and from moving it with pallet tines. So I use the tractors. 76 is really great for moving stuff back and forth because I can control the arms with the switch on the back there. Makes it a lot quicker to hook up, unhook, stuff like that. But back to what I was saying, as far as moving this in and out, I had to move it into the doorway because I have to be able to weld on it. Nothing major, but the bearings haven't moved and looks like forever. Am I gonna fix the bearings? No. Probably should, but I won't. I can, but I'm not. Same thing I do with the other side. This is already grooved out. Damage is done. It won't sit where it needs to even if I change the bearings out. It's not like I'm using the sprayer a lot. Mainly, and I'll say this a million times over, for those of you that are new to the channel, because I'm getting new subscribers every single day, so trying to keep the topic kind of broad here, but I bought this sprayer. It was meant to be used mainly for putting down liquid fertilizer. That's why we have the stream tips on it. Puts out 3 streams of fertilizer, and I think works really slick. I'm really happy with how it works. But what I'm going to do, because I'm not willing to replace this piece because it's a farmer fix, I'm going to put a bead of weld like I did on the other side, right here, and on the back here put a really heavy bead of weld so these bearings have something to sit on, so that way when we're going down across some of our steeper ground, like everything, you know, this boom that folds out over here isn't going to be trailing behind us, because that's what it was doing when I was getting on some of those slopes down at the valley. Simple fix. Had another issue here. This is the section, the nozzle that I had to replace down in the field. It had a triple nozzle design on it. It had one of these. It was split right down the face of it on the back here. So it was junk. It was shot. And I have these pieces for the ends. I mean, I do have spare parts, but for those of you that don't know, very new to spraying our own crops. We just are. And I'm gradually building up the parts we need, the spare parts we need for the sprayer to use it once we get using it on a regular basis. We've only used it one day when we were really using it. I sent my brother out and he sprayed 12 acres with it just to basically make sure that everything was working, and at the time everything was. He just didn't realize that that nozzle broke when the weld gave on the clamp here and the boom folded out on him. It's no big deal. Honestly, I could care less. Accidents happen and things break. Everybody thinks I'm so hard on Ryan, but I'm not. I'm a big brother. As far as using this for spraying weeds, I do intend to. So I can switch these nozzles out. I already have the herbicide nozzles for spraying for weeds. It's just that I didn't get this thing ready to run until after first crop was already cut. And I hate to say it, but I need to use it one more day. I mean, the tender tank needs to be refilled again. I got about 1,000 gallons, maybe a little bit more. I have some things I got in my mind. But it's only going to take about 1,000 gallons to finish up everything I want to spray at the bottom. But the bottom has to dry out enough where it'll carry the 46 and the sprayer, because questions have been answered. The 46 definitely feels light on the front end with a full load of fertilizer on the back. Would it be nice if we could put the duals on the 46, spraying and all that stuff? Yes. Are we going to do it? More than likely not. It's kind of a hassle to hook and unhook or put the duals on and off just for that simple job during the summer. So once the duals come off in the spring, they're off. Probably going to be a new norm from now on, taking the duals off in the spring. We've had a couple years where we weren't, but we're making more hay now. I have approximately just under 150 acres, give or take. Probably, I can't really say for sure. I mean, originally it was right around 100 acres, and then it was 130. But the problem is, when I was saying the 100 and some acres, I wasn't really factoring in the acres that I actually seeded down around some of my cornfields, because the woods are so heavy. The corn won't grow. The trees, between the trees zapping the moisture away from the crop that is trying to grow, plus blocking sunlight, I'll grow grass there, or yeah, it's grass, heck with it. So I probably am, for myself, about 150 acres, as long as I keep running everything that I currently am running. And I think the acres acquisition is pretty well tapped out as far as any more ground that comes my way. And then as far as hay ground, but then Dad and Ryan, I mean, Ryan has, and then Dad has, yeah, I don't know for sure, to be honest. We're probably running 250 acres of hay just in one cutting. If we went through and knocked everything down, yeah, it's easily 250 acres of hay. With everything down at my place, and then Ryan's, and then that's not even if we don't do the pastures and waterway. Wow, I should really sit down and pencil this out, but we're probably running right now close to what we were running when we were milking cows. Close, not all, close. When we were milking cows, it was right around 225 to 250 acres. It varies because some of those acres were actually oats acres. So you had that new seeding that you made late in the season. But, okay, I'm getting off track, but I don't mind making hay. I really don't. It's just that compared to now, from when we were growing up, the focus isn't on trying to make all those acres to feed cows. The focus is to make enough of those acres to feed cows, and the rest of those acres are to get some money back, get some return on investment. So I'm paying rent for all this hay. The cows do help pay for some of it, you know, the money going through them, but at the same time, quality hay, if I can overproduce what I need to feed out, I'll put wheels under it. And I actually am, I don't want to talk about the cattle here either, but I'm thinking about doing some things with the cows too. Either going and buying a couple more, or selling a couple of ones that I have because I'm not happy with them. Not the wild one, by the way, but I wouldn't rule me out for buying some more cows this winter. And on top of that, I am kind of in the market, I think I said it in the last video, probably in the market for some equipment. Auction time is an addiction. I did a really good job of avoiding it since I bought the sprayer home and the rake, but it beats going to auctions in person. I can actually just bid online and put in a proxy bid, and I'll pay X, Y, and Z dollars for it and let the dice roll. That's how I got the rake, and that's how I got this thing. I mean, it ain't much, but it's an honest piece of equipment. It gets me in the door for pull type. I do not have any intentions of actually running this sprayer for the rest of my life. To be quite honest, this was an expensive add-on. It was enough, but it's huge. It beats having to do it manually to figure out your rate and everything else like that. But this and that on-track controller on the steering wheel when you're spraying makes life so much more fun when you're applying product. But I actually have every intention of upgrading to even like a 500-gallon pull type. 45-foot booms I think works for us. This is 42 and a half if we want to get technical, but the problem is with our hills and contours, with the 3-point all the way up, with the boom all the way up, because it does have a single acting cylinder, I had it all the way up, I was still dragging the booms on the ground. For how uneven some of our areas are to turn around, I can't help it. And 60-foot booms, I was actually looking at one, I didn't bid on it, sprayer with 60-foot booms, and just knowing that alone, that 60-footers just wouldn't work where I'm going. I mean, I'm essentially spraying, not necessarily pasture, but I'm going to be spraying some pasture yet. I just haven't done any pasture to this point in time, but feed the crop. I mean, feed the grass, and if you can only get 2 healthy cuttings off of it as opposed to one really good one and a second kind of lacking one, that's kind of where I'm at right now, because originally it was, I'm going to try to make my grass hay, every 30 days, give or take. So June 1st, July 15th, so every 45 days, and then September 15th or so. That was if I could have cut it at those dates exactly. And it's come to my attention and a realization of the fact that in the end I'm not going to be able to do that. Cut first crop when you can, probably going to be July 1st. Go back through and fertilize it again, because I plan on spreading dry fertilizer in the early spring, but then go through after first crop and fertilize everything as heavily as it needs to get a healthy second cut in, and then let it grow for the rest of summer. Let it grow till September 1st and take 2 big, as you can get, cuttings off of it. So yeah, I need to get this done, because it turns out I need to go and take the wife out to dinner tonight. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'm just, at this point, I'm glad some of these projects are starting to kind of make their way through the shed, because I use this once or more twice, and that's going to be it for the sprayer. I'm going to winterize it, get it all cleaned up, and I'm going to probably back it down in either my shed or the shed at my brother's place and forget about it till next year. After all this money being put into this thing, I only get to use it for 3 or 4 days, and that's it for the year. Oh well. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.